I'm John. Thank you for letting me talk. I was privileged to be part of the J team. It was an honor to be part of Josh's crusade. Because that's what it was, a crusade to bring the rule of God into this troubled, not to say insane world. Now, you're probably surprised to hear that I'm a Yank, and you're wondering how I became part of this band of brothers. Well, at least that's what we were. It's kind of weird being the only Yank among a motley bunch of broken, mixed-up Brits. But they were great fellas, or so I thought at the time. So, yeah, I'm a journalist. I'm a writer. Well, I was. And about 3 years ago, I was working with the Washington Post. Now, the U.S. media at that time were running a lot of reports on a Brit called Joshua. We thought he was, a preacher, for want of a better word. Now, in the UK, he seemed to be turning their world upside down. Sounded like he was forming some kind of spiritual reform movement. We didn't really know. But he was challenging people about injustice, hypocrisy, greed, you name it. And we heard he could heal broken minds. But I tell you, he was clearly making as many enemies as he was making friends. Now, my editor pulled me in one morning and he said, John, I'm sending you to the UK. I want you to follow this guy and his team. Try and get to know him. Get inside his head. Find out what really makes him tick. Get to know his motivation. Get a story, John, and don't come back until you have one. So I flew out there the next day. And I caught up with Josh in the Midlands. Now, frankly, I was blown away by this guy. I said I wanted to bring his story to the American people. Now, I thought he would be wary of me, journalists worry people, and I get that. But I was welcomed. They made me feel like a brother, and I was quick at home shadowing the team. And after a few weeks, I was willing. In fact, I was happy to become one of them. Yeah, Washington got their story, but I had no obligations back home. I didn't have a wife, and I decided to hang up the job, and I threw my lot in with the J team. I guess Josh's message for me was like an awakening, I rediscovered my true purpose, and I now know what real love is. He could look inside the souls of the most troubled people you could imagine, and he could turn their lives around. Boy, was that something to see. Yeah, Josh was he was a complex character, but he had a simple message: compassion, love of neighbor, and generosity of spirit. Now, I came to realize that he had depths to him that we couldn't really understand. I couldn't get my head around it sometimes, but that was Josh. So I'm not sure if I ever truly got inside Josh's head, but I can tell you this: he sure as heck got inside mine. And now, Josh is dead. And I'm sitting here wondering what the last 3 years were really about. What was it all for? The love, the healing, the hope? The vision, the new hope that Josh gave us just seemed to be indestructible, And now I'm thinking, was he all he claimed to be? Or was he just playing us? No, I can never believe that. He was, he just had a drive, a sense of commitment and purpose that was just too strong. But I can't get that last day out of my head. You see, I was there throughout. I heard the anger. I heard the hatred, the anguish, and I felt the fear. We all did. We knew, well, I knew, there were people there who just didn't, well, they didn't just want him banged up. They wanted him dead. You know, this blameless, godly man of love, a man of peace, you know, this courageous advocate of social justice who was given so much to this broken world. And some twisted minds just wanted him dead. Yet we could do nothing, you know. I mean, we had no leverage against the authorities. They were just too big for us, you know. We even heard that MI5 was involved. So it looked like the end of the line for Josh, and it seemed our godly project was over. Well, on that fateful day, Josh was taken off to a magistrate's court in the centre of London. Well, keeping a low profile as best we could, Peter and I followed him to the court. Now, we knew he was facing trumped-up charges. Of course they were, you know, but they decided that Josh's case would go to trial. The decision was to release him on bail, which some generous but mysterious benefactor unknown to us had apparently agreed to pay. Well, we heard that his attorney told the judge that Josh's life had been threatened and he needed protection. Well, the judge didn't agree. You know, he just said there were no grounds he could support. So Josh was free. Well, for a while, you know. But now he was completely at the mercy of the angry mob outside. And he took off quickly down the street, and I guessed he was going to try to address the crowds. But this baying, lawless mob, I mean, crazies they were. I mean, you had to be there. There were extremists, there were anarchists, and some other really sinister guys among them, you know, but they were hell-bent on bringing him down. And I felt sick in the pit of my stomach. And then I heard what Pete had done. Oh, he'd suddenly disappeared, you know, but we heard a while later that when confronted by the police, he denied ever knowing Josh. Oh, he said he'd never seen him before, never worked with him, you know, never talked to him. He denied his best friend. How could he do that, huh? How could he do that? You know, the Pete we knew was loyal guy, you know, always ready to back up Josh, whatever the consequences. But I guess that now was his downfall, you know. I mean, he was a marked man. A conspirator now. And the police wanted to nail him. Yeah, we hated Peter for what he did. But you know, we all knew in our hearts that, you know, if we'd faced the same challenge, we would probably have done and said exactly the same thing. You know, the mob outside just got bigger and louder. People just seemed to come on from all directions, you know. I mean, the police were few in number, I have to say, were completely overwhelmed. And Josh moved quickly away from the surrounding crowds, you know, and I saw people physically attack him. I mean, literally, they attacked the guy, you know, at least 3 times. He was knocked to the ground. I mean, he was kicked and beaten. I mean, these people were like animals, you know, they were crazies. I mean, fights broke out between those who reviled him and those who had come to support him. They were shouting and screaming, women wailing, and, you know, people in fear, people just appearing from nowhere. You know, I recognized a guy in the crowd who I'd seen a few days ago at a gathering when Josh was in fine form, urging people to love their neighbors. Now, this guy was listening, and he was moved, and he was engaged, and I thought, yeah, he's on board with all this, you know? And now here he was, one of the cowardly mob, shouting and taunting Josh. You know, they treated him like a can kicked in the gutter. Yeah. I mean, frankly, I'd never seen anything like this, you know? I mean, I've covered a few violent stories in my time back home. You know, I'd seen cop shootouts, I've seen street riots, I've seen drug gangs beating each other up. But this was different. Violence against an innocent man, you know, who only wanted to bring peace and love to the world. I mean, I felt utterly empty and numb, you know? I mean, I could do nothing but stand and watch this grotesque madness. That's what it was, you know, I mean. But Josh's courage, you know, just never seemed to waver. And at one point early on, he stood tall and shouted to the crowd. I think he tried to catch my eye, you know, and he said, "Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing." I mean, that's all. He said it like he meant it, you know. You know, I have to say, Josh was big on forgiveness. It was central to his whole teaching. You know, one of the things that made me really connect with him was this teaching, you know. I mean, human relationships, he said, will never grow, you know, unless you let something go. You've got to let go of the hate and the bitterness. You know, the person's humanity is greater than the sin. To move forward, sometimes you just gotta reset the dials. Well, I needed some forgiveness with me and my family, and, you know, yeah, so that did it for me. But seeing Josh asking for forgiveness for this bunch of crazies, well, that was quite something. So Josh ran into this side street, and that's where they overwhelmed him. You know, a few guys put him up against the wall, arms outstretched, and I thought, what the hell are they going to do to him? Then I heard 3 shots. 3 shots were fired. Where they came from, I have no idea. But, oh my God, they had shot Josh, you know. I saw his face look up and I heard him say, "It's over. It's finished." Oh, and then his head slumped forward and his body fell to the ground. He was gone, you know. Game over. And for a few moments there was a weird silence, and I guess people were in shock, you know. I mean, maybe it was my imagination, but the place suddenly seemed cold and dark, and all that evil energy had just melted away. People started to drift, but I just stood in the shop doorway in a daze. You know, I couldn't move for fear and shock. I'll never forget what I saw and felt on that day. You know. Then I heard police sirens in the distance, and weirdly, a group of people came out of the shadows and took Josh's body away. I mean, I don't know where they took him, but, you know, maybe he's lying in a morgue someplace or a shallow grave, you know. I don't know. But eventually I walked away. I was feeling numb and my gut was twisted, you know. I had no idea where I was going. I had no idea where Pete had gone or the other fellas. I was just alone and afraid. And you know how it is when they say a murderer always returns to the scene of the crime? Well, late that evening I went back. I felt I was a murderer too. I felt I had put my finger on that trigger, you know? It was my finger that pulled the trigger. Why didn't I do something? Why didn't I step up? Why? I saw his blood on the ground. Innocent blood. You know, there were bloody marks on the wall in a kind of cross shape where they'd held him up like a condemned man facing a firing squad. Well, the police had come and gone, and yellow tape everywhere, You know, it was a crime scene now, and, well, the evening news was just full of it. But no arrests had been made. And I felt I should have turned myself in. Because the hard truth is, we were all responsible. You know, we were all complicit in his death. No question. Josh often spoke about his death, but, you know, he made it out to be important in some way, but we didn't pick up on this. I mean, to be honest, we didn't want to. You know, I mean, you know how it is. We don't like to talk about death in our own times, you know. Why think about death when there's so much to live for? Oh boy, those words have a hollow ring now, I can tell you, you know. But I'm thinking about death right now. I mean, why did Joshua die? You know, I mean, why did he die? You know, I know they wanted to take him down, but did they have to kill him? I know. I would have given my life for another day with him, you know? And all I have now is this raw, aching guilt. I wish someone could just take that pain away. Please, God, just take that pain away.